Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Tim Packer. I'm excited and a little nervous about making a big announcement. There's going to be a huge shift in the focus of my business and my career. For the last 21 years, my prime focus has been painting. My main goal each day has been to get up, get into my studio, and paint. That has afforded me a 1% lifestyle, and I'll be forever grateful for that, and for those of you who have supported me in this journey. But I'm no longer going to be doing that. That may sound shocking, but let me explain. Most of you know that I had serious health issues last year. In fact, I almost died twice last year. Now, both times I was conscious and aware, but what was really funny was that both times I had a feeling of calm and peace that kind of came over me. Now, I was obviously concerned about how this would impact Diane and the boys, but both times I also had experienced a feeling of peace and gratitude. I didn't want to be done yet, but if this was it, I was thankful. I'd been given one hell of a life. I'd been able to achieve and surpass my dreams. I had very little regret. In fact, there was just one regret that I had. And I promised myself both times as I was lying there that if I recovered fully, I was going to address that regret. And that's why I'm no longer going to be focusing on painting. Now, before I tell you what I will be focusing on, I need to backtrack about 5 years to 2015. At that time, I had a very successful career as an artist. I was living my dream. Diane had been able to retire before turning 50. We'd been able to help both boys through university without incurring debt either to them or to us. My work was being sold in a number of commercial galleries across Canada and in the United States. We were also members at a private golf club. Life was very, very good. But there was one particular night that kind of changed everything for me. I was at the opening of my solo show at a downtown Toronto gallery. It was like a scene from a movie. There was a lineup out front waiting for the gallery to open. When the doors opened, crowds of people rushed in. There was live music playing. Waiters were serving wine. I was surrounded by fans who couldn't wait to tell me how much they loved my work. Red dots were going up left and right as paintings sold. And as I was taking this all in, I realized I had really made it. This was the dream, and I was actually living it. I took a few minutes to bask in the glow, and then another feeling kind of descended on me. It's taken me quite a while to figure out what it was exactly, and that feeling was responsibility. I feel I have a responsibility to other aspiring artists who share the same dream to share what I've learned. I knew how I got here. And I knew I could share that knowledge with them, and they really, really needed the help. Let's just look at the current situation of the stereotypical starving artist. A recent survey in the United States, this is of people who identified themselves as full-time artists. 75% had earnings of less than $10,000. Only 13% made more than $20,000. And less than 1% made more than $100,000. Now, on this particular night, I also realized that for the first time in my career, my annual earnings were going to top $200,000. And I feel a little uncomfortable talking about this. I don't say it to brag, but to illustrate that there's considerable upside to being a successful artist. And you can actually make a very, very good living. Now let's get back to the plight of these starving artists. Many, if not most of these artists have some sort of art education at post-secondary school, either university or college. Now I'm not sure what the purpose of a university art education is, but I know that most of the people studying art dream of one day being able to support themselves and their family through their art. So if the purpose of an art education is to prepare an aspiring artist for a career in art, it's failing dismally. If 87% of students in accounting or engineering or dentistry or whatever were living below the poverty line after graduating, there'd be a huge outcry. But for some reason, we just accept this for those who graduate from an arts program. So whatever they're teaching them there in university, it is not how to make a living as an artist. And if it's not university or college, where can they go to learn how? Well, right now, nowhere. So it was in that moment, in that gallery, that I made the decision that I would share what I had learned about how to make a living as an artist. I knew the specific steps I had taken to move me from where I was then to where I am now. And I also believed that if I could do it, so could they, if they wanted it badly enough. So I decided that I would create that place where they could learn, so I started my YouTube channel. This was my way of giving back to the world that had given me this great life. I also made a conscious decision at that time that this was not going to be for profit. I decided that I would make my money off of collectors of my work, not off the backs of starving artists. So over the last 5 years, I've posted over 100 videos on my YouTube channel, sharing what I've learned about how I have been able to make a living as an artist. In 2016, I began mentoring a young artist, Brooke Cormier. Now, Brooke had just graduated from a program in landscape architecture. She had no education in art other than in high school. And after graduating, she told her parents that she didn't want to be a landscape architect. She wanted to be an artist. I was friends with her parents. I'd met Brooke and I was impressed with her. And so I agreed that I would mentor her if we could film our meetings. So we began having our meetings, we filmed all of our sessions, and we posted them on my YouTube channel. Now, under my mentorship, Brooke went on to experience phenomenal results. She was able to earn over $30,000 in her first year as a full-time artist. She's now living her dream life in Vienna, painting in her studio and shipping her sold works all over the world. She's grown her social media following at an incredible rate. Her Instagram has grown from 0 to over 200,000 followers from the time I started mentoring her. She's basically selling her work as fast as she can paint them. In what's becoming an all too common experience, her latest piece sold on Instagram before she was even finished. Now, while I'm extremely proud of the content I've put out on my YouTube channel and the positive impact I know I've had on Brooke and a number of other artists, I still have not had nearly the impact I'd hoped for. I currently have just over 4,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel. This is good, not great. I get lots of comments asking me why I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. People have told me they've learned more about color and composition from my videos than from a 4-year program at a major university. I'm a member of a Facebook group. It's called Artists Trying to Make a Living Creating Art, and I post regularly on that group. It has 188,000 members. And why haven't they subscribed to my YouTube channel? I thought if I build it, they will come, but it turns out not to be the case. So while I was lying in my hospital bed both times last year, I decided that if I were to recover fully, I was going to do more to share my knowledge with those who shared the dream. So at the start of 2020, I got a thumbs up from both my cardiologist and my endocrinologist. They told me I could go back to planning on a normal life and a normal life expectancy. So I decided I was going to get back to work at that one regret I had. I was going to try and get that message out there to those who really needed it. So in February, I got started trying to have more impact. I started my channel on TikTok. Now that's a new social media platform that is for videos under 60 seconds. Because it's new, it is easier to grow an audience. There's less competition than established social media platforms. So I began creating 60-second videos to inspire and educate young aspiring artists. Now the response on TikTok has been overwhelming. In 3 short months, I posted over 100 videos and I've grown my audience from 0 to over 23,000 followers. I'm approaching 2 million video views, and I know from the comments that I've had a huge positive impact on a whole community of young aspiring artists. In fact, they actually refer to me as their TikTok art dad. During this time, something else actually happened. I began to realize that as good an artist as I am, I'm an even better teacher. Now, there are lots of good artists out there, and there are lots of good teachers out there, but there's not so many who have experienced huge success as an artist who are also good at and willing to teach. I've also been posting more teaching content on my traditional social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the response has been very positive on these platforms. But there's a problem. While I love helping other artists, creating, editing, and posting these videos is a lot of work, especially when you answer every single comment or question, as I do. And it also doesn't really contribute much to the core element of my business, which is the sale of my originals and giclées. And it takes valuable time away from my painting. I've not been able to paint hardly at all over these last few months while I've been focusing on the teaching. So what am I going to do? Well, I've been doing a lot of research online about how I could have more of an impact and reach more of my target audience. Well, it turns out that one major component of my strategy has been flawed all along. I've been under the impression that free content would ultimately reach more people, and it would therefore have the ability to impact more people. It turns out that's not true for several reasons. First, people value things that they pay for, and they tend to assume that if something is for free, it is not as valuable as something that they have paid for. Second, studies show that when it comes to online learning, when people pay for a course, they get much more value out of it because they've invested in it, they're much more likely to finish the course, and they're much more likely to put the concepts into practice. Third, creators of exclusively free content, that's me, they're only able to commit a certain amount of time and effort for creating the content. So the content is not all it could be. Good enough becomes good enough. And fourth, if doing it for free, creators are going to invest little to no money in promoting it to make sure that it gets in front of the right audience. So for those and some other reasons, it turns out the best strategy to reach the most people and therefore impact the most people is to create a successful for-profit online learning business. The more successful the business, the more people you will impact. So if I want to have maximum impact, that's what I needed to do. Now I feel fairly confident that I could do that, but I also know I would need to be all in on this. This would leave very little, if any, time for painting. And I had to ask myself, instead of going into my studio every day to do what I love to do most, that is paint, do I really want to spend my time helping aspiring artists so they can achieve their dreams? And what turned out to be a total surprise, the answer shocked me. The answer was yes. I really do feel passionate about this, and I would rather spend my time helping other artists achieve their dream than going back in the studio to paint one more painting. Now, this thought first occurred to me early in the new year. I thought maybe if I wait a while, that answer will change and I can just go back to my regular life of painting in my studio. It's now been several months and it hasn't changed. So going forward, the focus of my business is going to be creating an online school for aspiring artists. I've also spent the last couple months researching the various platforms and business models of online learning. And what I've learned is also a pleasant surprise, and that is that the online learning industry is actually experiencing exponential growth. So this actually makes sense as a business decision. And as an added bonus, for those of you who appreciate my free content, it turns out the best way to promote a successful online learning business is to provide lots of valuable free content. So for those of you not interested in taking the actual courses, you can expect to see more, not less, of my free teaching content online. So that's my big news. I've been rearranging my house to set up a permanent video studio in the basement, and today is the first day that we're ready to start filming. When the site is ready, there's going to be some very attractive pre-launch offers for those who subscribe to my newsletter. So if you want to be advised and eligible for these special deals, you'll need to subscribe to my newsletter. If you're not already signed up, you can do that now by clicking on the link. So that's all for now. I'm very excited about this change of focus, and I hope you are too. As always, I thank you for your time. I'm Tim Packer, and I'll see you next time.